for the very lady.
Because it is the question I wanted to ask you too before you go. What is a superstar in this day and time?
Now I bet you're asking because of Joe Budden talking about Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so when he first said that, I was playing devil's advocate because I'm not a Megan Thee Stallion fan. Meaning that, typically, I'm not her target audience, but I'm a fan of hip hop. I'm a fan of the game. And if you're a good artist, I can point that out. Like how I was just able to say that I don't like Cardi B as a rapper, but she makes some dope records. Yeah. Superstar today, and we're speaking about Cardi, you're looking at influence, right? If you're a superstar of today, you have a good social media following. You have a good, people fall into who you are and what you do more so than your music. And with Megan, I think that she in 2022 would be a superstar regardless of how many records that she does sell. However, if we're talking about a bona fide superstar, you have to, and I say that with a lot of meaning, bona fide, meaning that out the gate, you sell records, plus you have impact, plus people like your character. 50 Cent had all of that. DMX had all of that. Beyonce had all of that. Nelly had all of that. You know what I'm saying? Out the gate, like you're selling records. Eminem, you're selling records, plus people like you for your character. They like what you do. You have clout, just a whole bunch of stuff. However, nowadays, as long as I have at least 2 hits, and I don't have to sell records, but if I have 2 hits, 1 million followers, and people like who I am, that could lead to brand endorsements,
right? Other things that sell other than records. Because nobody really selling records these days. Nobody's selling albums.
Not by itself, no.
Not by, for a few, of course, nowadays when you're talking about streaming, right? When people come out, they tell you what you actually sold and then how many streams you had to make you sell a certain amount of records through the RIAA, right? You look at pure album sales. People like Migos, 21 Savage, Megan Thee Stallion don't have a lot of pure album sales. People like Drake, people like Eminem, people like Kanye West, they will have a lot of streams plus a lot of pure album sales because that means that people who are fans are going to be like, I need to touch this record. Right. You know what I'm saying? I have to buy the merch. I have to download it to let them know that I support them. You know what I'm saying? And it's only a handful of artists that I will still do that to, right? Like Nas, Bone. I will make sure that I purchase their fucking albums because I want to make sure that these streams, I know how to, because I'm an artist and I know how streams are. But I want to make sure that you get compensated properly for what you put out there because I fuck with you that much. But a superstar, I think that Megan is a superstar. And I feel like if you have a social media following, and I feel like if you make hit records, and I feel like if you have endorsements, companies are coming to you and being like, hey, we want to put some money up to get you to rock our products. And you're performing at award shows and you're able to go on tour and all the other stuff. I think that's fair to say that you could still be a superstar without selling a lot of records. However, I think bona fide, certified superstar includes the record sales.
Gotcha. Yeah. Man. And definitely. Yeah. So, man, listen, man, this has been a great podcast, man.
Definitely, man.
Listen, listen, we can talk all night, but we have a guest, so we got to go, right? So, but we appreciate you, coming on, blessing us with your, spread some of that superstar dust on our podcast. You know what I'm saying? Because definitely we believe in you. You know what I'm saying? And definitely keep on going. We encourage you to keep on going, man. And definitely always remember the consistency is king. So, you know what I'm saying? No matter you got 2 views, 64 views, whatever, just keep on going. Eventually that hard work is going to pay off. So Definitely appreciate y'all, man. Y'all got anything else to say before we go, Walt? Trim, got good?
Nope, I'm good, man.
I did have my question that I didn't get to ask.
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
So, like, in your opinion, J-Man, just real quick, if you could, as far as like, what do you feel about music, as far as hip hop in particular? How do you feel like I want to say like 60s, 70s. Well, I know hip hop started in the 80s, but kind of black music. The message, as far as like, how do you feel that's changed from when it started to now? Like, in your opinion, if you could sum it up, how do you feel it has changed from when I could say like black music became mainstream? How do you feel it has changed like from then to now? How do you feel like? What do you feel like it reflects in the music? How do you?
Yeah,
Good question.
yeah, I feel like hip hop. People have to know where hip hop actually came from. Through the system of white supremacy, we were not allowed to go into those parties, into those functions, and you know what I'm saying? And the upper echelon of who's who, because we couldn't afford those type of clothes to go in there, you know what I'm saying? And this is stuff you already know, but I'm just saying it for, you know, people watching this. It was rejection. So what do you do when you're rejected? We've been doing this as black people for centuries. We get shit and we make it to sugar. We take lemon and make lemonade. You know what I'm saying? They tell us that we're segregated. Guess what? We'll make a Black Wall Street that they want to come and burn down and shit. So hip hop was another diamond that we created in the rough, another rose that grew from the concrete. So I feel like the content back then was more meaningful and powerful. You know what I'm saying? Because we were going through so much oppression, and it was at a different time. Black folks, you couldn't run up and just kill a black person at that time without any type of retribution. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, we done got real chill with it. You know what I'm saying? We'll turn up when necessary, but back then, man, it was cops out there. Well, they don't tell you about those civil rights movements, man. Cops were getting their asses whooped. White people were getting their asses whooped back then. You know what I'm saying? In the 70s and 80s, man, we wasn't fucking around. It's just that I think that once we started integrating, and things had gotten a little bit more laxed and chill, you know what I'm saying? It just, and then once we got a black president and people talking about stuff for us, and I'm using that like that, then I think the content got orchestrated to a different point to where it's now more shake your ass, drugs, you know what I'm saying? It's not really about, and the conscious stuff that is out, because if you look at it, man, y'all know in the early 90s, in the late 80s, you had De La Soul. You had a lot of different people who were representing Malcolm X, and you know what I'm saying? It was more so about liberation of who you are.
And I think it was changed on purpose too. Yeah.
Oh, nah, they know what they do.
Definitely an agenda. Definitely an agenda.
They switched it up, and then now with the internet, the only reason that a lot of us know about the conscious stuff is because we have the internet and we can go back and research and all this other stuff. But I think as of right now, with social media is a very powerful tool to keep us still at that bottom mentally, because they come up with so much stuff. But to answer your question, I feel like the content has changed drastically simply because of how we're living. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 80s when NWA was like, fuck the police and all that other stuff, it's because we were actually going through that. And we're still going through it now, but we had a black president. So that made us chill. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of stuff, we let our guards down and we're just like, okay, bet, we're in America. I'm gonna just chill, and I don't have to fight for nothing. But I guarantee you right fucking now, if we went back into segregation, you would hear fight the power, you would hear fuck the police, you would hear the content change overnight because of the oppression that we actually go through. You know what I'm saying?
Tired of that. People tired of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the every generation the message gets bolder, because every generation young people just don't care. They first of all. It's all right. So look, you look at the 60s. They done seen their parents, grandparents. They seen people get lynched, right? So they coming into the 70s like, yo, we ain't having that. We about to start this Black Panther movement. We about to get these programs in this neighborhood. They're saying we about to do all of that, right? Then, you know, the marching, you know, we saw the marching and all of that stuff that happened. Then we come into the 80s like, yo, wait a minute. We got this crack in the neighborhood now.
Exactly.
Oh, we about to get this money.
Mysteriously.
We about to get this money. You know what I'm saying? And you know, from there, crack is the start of
The downfall.
I would say not downfall, but more. It's a downfall, but it's more of, like our community turned into zombies. So it's kind of like it stops when you put crack and stuff like that. It stops the energy that we had in the 60s. That energy goes around, and then we killing each other and stuff like that. But when we see Rodney King get beat in the 90s,
we turned up.
we was like, oh nah. It's like, oh, yo, what's been going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then you have Amadou, then you have Sean Bell get shot. Like, so now that all these big stuff is happening, we get into the 2000s. These young people ain't playing either. And I heard Andrew Young say that they said talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. He said, listen, y'all got to give them a chance. Because he loves it. He's like they're in kindergarten compared to what we did. We graduated. We alumni. They're in kindergarten. Give them time to blossom. Now, I got my theory about stuff like that, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Right? About Black Matters movement versus the
different conversation.
The civil rights movement.
I get what you.
Yeah, it's different conversation, but yeah,
they might be the same thing.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We could go deep. That's why I gave the filtered answer of,
right.
You know what I'm saying, what it is. But and one last thing that I wanted to talk about just real quick.
Sure, man. You got listen, we got as much time as you got. Let's just say that. Because I could do this all night.
Because we talked about hip hop, the roots coming from Jamaica, right? Hip hop. Now, Kool Herc, what he did, he came and put a name on what was already going on here.
Right.
And I can transfer that back. I can trace that back. I want people, for everybody who's watching, to Google this name. And y'all may have heard of the guy. His name was Pigmeat Markham. I'm going to just put him right here. Right? He had a record called Here Comes the Judge. I think that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that came out in the, I think, 40s or something like that, right? And you had different groups, like, you know, like rapping was, okay, because, you know, hip-hop is the culture, but rapping was already here in America.
Oh, yeah, rapping, listen, it has to be rapping.
Yeah. James Brown.
Right.
You tribute that, you know what I'm saying? Because the beautiful thing about hip-hop, and I had Daddy O, Testastonic.
Wow.
And what he told me was so interesting. He said that he likes Rick Ross a lot because Rick Ross samples a lot of records. He said sampling hip hop beats are better than created hip hop beats. I was like, what you mean by that? He was like, that's where hip hop came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at everything that hip hop came from, it was the actual samples of you know what it was. So when people, you know, that it's rooted, like Kool Herc wasn't playing the hip hop records in Jamaica. Kool Herc came here, heard what was going on, and was
added to it.
Yeah, he added to it because he tried to play that Jamaican stuff here, and we, you know, folks in New York were like, hell no, what the fuck is that? You know, all this other stuff. Yeah. So he's the godfather of it because he said, okay, all this stuff is going on. Okay, bam, I'm gonna put a name on it. You know what I'm saying? But James Brown, you can trace it back that we were already, you know, rapping. So
rapping, the actual rapping. I think what I meant by that is the actual like the DJ version. The DJ, like the DJ from Jamaica, like that was going on some time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they throw parties and stuff like that, like the way like a DJ would throw a party. Yeah. That was all, you know, like if you ever go to a reggae party, rewind, respect. That was going on back then. And it really, honestly, it's really the vibration of black people. Period. Like, you know,
yeah.
You know, we can be on the other side of the planet doing the same exact thing.
Yeah,
it's just it all roots. You know, as far as I always say, honestly, all American music can be traced back to the church. You know, which obviously, you know, when we talk about slavery, when we came out of slavery, most people were going to the church. That was like the thing. Like, everybody wanted to become pastors and stuff like that when they got out of slavery. So, you know, but in the church, we were, making these type of, songs. Like I said, your pastors rapping, and James Brown's influence comes from, a pastor, or like, the way a choir would be. Yep. So, and also James Brown is not musically trained, so it's more about feeling, the feeling of music. So that's what hip hop is, So honestly, to sum up what hip hop is, it's a bunch of scraps that black people took, just like we took chitlins.
Yep. And put it
all. We took records. You understand? Like, people like Grandmaster Flash, another DJ that's one of my favorites. Grandmaster Flash was like MacGyver of hip hop. He was taking old turntables, and they always doing it, but he was perfecting like how these turntables were working. He was the one putting he was marking on the record where he should stop when he's mixing.
The music.
No, go ahead.
No, so the music that they were sampling, most of that, like, they would sample Motown.
Disco.
Disco,
More disco than anything. That's why they say hip hop killed disco. That's what they say. Hip hop killed disco because we took disco and then mixed those records and then looped them, the break of the beat,
the drum break,
the break of it, and then created something totally different.
And people didn't think it was gonna last. Boy, I could only imagine like what it was like.
I would love to go to the future, Back to the Future, and be like, you were wrong.
Yeah, a lot of labels back then, if they invested into it and been like, man, like, imagine if you put in stock in Microsoft before Microsoft was Microsoft. Right, you'll be a millionaire at that particular point.
But see, we ain't gonna talk about how they stole, like how these labels stole hip hop from. They changed the whole thing. Like, let me give you an example of what I mean. My total thought. So, back in the 80s, one of the illest writers was Grandmaster Caz. Grandmaster Caz is one of the illest writers. And I mean, his penmanship, I'm talking about like literally his penmanship, the way it looked beautiful. And I'm not the one to say that another man's handwriting is beautiful. Right. But this thing, when you look at it, I'm looking like, yo, this is the neatest handwriting ever. But what he did, so I'm gonna give it a quote. When Jay-Z says, I'm overcharging people for what they did to the Cold Crush. What he's referring to is that Grandmaster Caz wrote that verse that came from what's the name of the group? Sugar Hill Gang. Who was that? I want to say that's Big Bang Hank. Big Bang Hank's verse. Big Bang Hank came to Grandmaster Caz's house, stole the rap, literally.
Wow.
Took it. Not only, I mean, he stole it to the point where he mentioned Grandmaster Caz's name in the song. Like, he mentions like a reference to Grandmaster Caz in the song. He literally read it word for word. He didn't even have the decency to change the daggone verse. So what I say that is that they stole the shine, because Grandmaster Caz, if anybody should have been, and when I say Grandmaster Caz, I'm talking about the Cold Crush Brothers. Right. Because he wrote all the lyrics for the Cold Crush Brothers. and they all performed them. So at that time, if anybody deserved to come out with the first hip hop album to blow up, would have been the Cold Crush Brothers. Sugar Hill Gang is from New Jersey. No disrespect to Jersey, because Jersey got the craziest rappers. But rap was created in New York, New York City, the Bronx. Some might say Brooklyn, but we're going to say Bronx, Cedric Avenue. Right? So if anybody was lyrically the dopest out, Grandmaster Caz and the Cool Crush Brothers should have been first. But when Jay-Z says, I'm overcharging y'all, which I did to the Cold Crush, he's meaning y'all stole from the Cold Crush. Not only did y'all steal from the Cold Crush, but y'all changed the way hip hop was supposed to come out. That beat has a band behind it. It's the dude from Chic, the dude that played the guitar in Chic, that made Good Times. He's the one playing that guitar. He's the main. If you look at it, his name is on the credits. Hip hop was never supposed to come out with a band behind it. It's supposed to have been the DJ and the rapper. And at the time, the DJ was the most important part of hip hop.
That's what that's the backbone of it, man.
We bringing this full circle, people, because we just finished talking about that. DJ was the most important part, and the way they brought out hip hop was wrong.
Dude, you dropped a hidden gem without actually officially dropping one.
Man, I'm just saying, like, because the thing about it is that what's going to happen is that when we gone, hip hop gonna be something different again. And then somebody else gonna be around to try to change the story and make it something else. Well, like I said, hip hop was supposed to be a DJ and an MC, and I think Grandmaster Caz. See, at one point, the DJ and the MC became Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, so they tried to correct that and make it right, but they didn't come out. It didn't come out first. It ain't supposed to come out like that. So, but I say all that to say, hip hop is just scraps that we put together, man. That we borrowed records, and took our parents' records. Wasn't really Motown though. It was more disco, and it was more James Brown.
Definitely James Brown. Yep.
James Brown made. From what I understand, I heard, but he made a gang of money off of hip hop. He became he should have been a rich man off of hip hop.
Yeah, that's a break.